Now we're going to get down to the nitty-gritty of what Indians are all about.
I still say we Indian people are believers in the truth. This is the way of life that was given to your people. You're born an Indian, you're going to die an Indian. Indianness is a good life. You're facing an Indian this afternoon.
Good Saturday afternoon out there, everyone, and welcome to your #1 source for Native American television news, Native News Today. I'm your host, Jason Salzman. On this festival Saturday, hopefully a lot of you are DVRing the show right now because you're out enjoying the Creek Festival. I'm just kidding, but I know a lot of you probably will be out at the festival grounds, and we know that you set those timers to record Native News Today. We appreciate you for that. Some sad news here at the Muskogee Creek Nation as well this week, as we've lost a treasure. That's the only way to put it. We've lost a Muskogee Creek icon. Phillip Coon, the last Native American survivor of the Bataan Death March in World War II, decorated war veteran, Muskogee Creek citizen, has walked on to his eternal life. And we here are saddened at Native News Today about that. But we will have Mike Coon, Phillip's son, after our first break here. He's going to come in studio and talk with us. It's a difficult week for him, so we thank him for that. So don't go anywhere. After this first break, we'll be back with Mike Coon.
For 3 years, kids have been asking their parents, what is that hill on the river going to be? What answer did you give?
Did you tell them that someday that half-finished structure will be one of America's most important attractions, bringing visitors from around the country and the world to Oklahoma,
along with hundreds of millions of dollars into our economy?
There'll be state-of-the-art interactive displays that bring to life the stories, history, and culture of the 39 tribes that share this state.
A 210-acre landscape park and trail system. Beautiful retail and business space.
This will be another jewel in the crown of our state's tourism industry, and it will pay eternal tribute to the origin of our great state.
It's not a matter of whether we can afford to complete it. We simply can't afford not to. For the current generation of Oklahomans and the generations to come, let's finish it.
Let's finish it.
Let's finish it.
Pumunakadat nak aja gidomen, ajai jahaniat, omen ibuhwakidos.
Daniels in Ogitskish, Bonshongi Benoat, Bomio, Boshomizatlish.
Momesh, Harishongigo Imongin, Hobidagi, Ani Omaga, Bomahahoye Imongin Oma, Bonshomegigosh. For more information about Muskogee language preservation, please call us at 918-732-7724.
And welcome back to Native News Today. And as I told you before the break there, we have a special guest with us in studio. And today that is a very good friend of mine, Mr. Mike Coon. Thank you for being with us, sir. And we obviously here at the Muskogee Creek Nation, a sad week for us, a sad week for you all as well, with the passing of Phillip Coon, our World War II hero. Just a heck of a guy, you know, and been a friend of mine too, you know, ever since I came to the tribe and you guys were coming around. I got a chance to know him and meet him. And for right now, just want to ask on behalf of all the Muskogee Creek Nation and all the citizens that are grieving along with you, just want to ask how the family's doing, everybody's holding up.
They're doing fine. My son and my nephew, they're holding up real well, great, which is what Dad would probably expected them to be. Absolutely.
Well, in the last, you know, several years, you know, you guys have crisscrossed the globe, crisscrossed the country. You getting to spend a lot of time with your mother, who of course passed just a few years ago, and then Phillip. You know, on these places where everybody wanted to talk to him, everybody wanted to meet him, wanted to just have him come to their event. What was that like for you these last few years, getting to really do a lot of traveling with them?
It was an honor to be able to do that. I know in the beginning when they first were, one would get sick and then the other one would get okay and then the other one would get sick. Mm-hmm. And so in my mind I decided that I didn't need to be working when I could be with them. Right. And they were in their later years. And so I decided to go ahead and just leave work and just go on my VA pension. Mm-hmm. And that way I was able to travel with them and I was able to take them to their doctor's appointments and stuff. And And that opened the doors for us to travel. And then when we had all these invitations for Dad and Mom, and not only was Dad invited, Mom was invited too because of her singing. And they really enjoyed her Muskogee Creek hymn singing, and it just blossomed into a big event. So when one came, then the other one was always expected to come. So it was just a real honor to be able to travel with them. And like so many of them have lost their parents at an early age. A lot of my friends lost their parents early, but with myself, I was blessed to have them. You know, my mom, 93, and my dad, 95.
That's incredible. I mean, that's very incredible. As you said, many people don't get that much time with their parents, and that's incredibly fortunate for you. And you know, when I think about Phillip, sometimes it was hard to, you know, so many people know him for his service, and rightfully so. Incredibly decorated war hero, survivor, the last Native American survivor of the Bataan Death March there, and everybody knows that. But I always knew Phillip as just sort of a guy to come in and tell some stories to and talk to, and he'd talk about Helen, and, you know, he'd want Helen to be introduced, and, you know, just salt of the earth, just an absolutely fabulous guy. And, you know, but everybody knows him for his service. And for you, you know, that must have been yourself a Vietnam War veteran, and, you know, having that with him being your father and that kind of service, was it ever something that you guys, was it just something you wanted to do, or did he say, hey, Mike, you ought to think about going in, or how did that even come about?
Well, when I was graduated out of high school, me and my friend had already talked about joining the military out of high school. But my mother said, no, you're going to go to college. And so it was her wish that I go to college. So in order to please her, I went ahead and joined college. And then after we got in college, then the draft was still going on during that time. And they were drafting them right and left. They give us a school deferment, but then they would take it away, and then you would have to go into service. So I did one semester, and then after one semester, I started a second. And then my number came up, and in my mind, I just decided to go ahead and join the service. So I took it on myself to go ahead and do it all by myself, because I was of age. I was over 18. And so I went down to Oklahoma City one day, and I enlisted. And then I came back on the bus, and then I went down to my father where he was working, and I usually rode home with him after I got out of school. So when I got there to him, and I asked him what he did in the military, and he said, why are you so curious about the military and everything? And I said, well, I enlisted. And he just kind of shook his head, and then he goes, well, you know that when we get home, you're going to have to tell your mother. And you're going to have to tell her that it wasn't my idea that you that you joined the service and stuff. Yeah. And so she was pretty upset because I joined the military. But then after I got in and everything, and then I told her what I was doing, and she wasn't, and I told Dad what I planned on doing is being an airborne paratrooper. And then he goes, well, that's another thing that you're going to have to tell your mother, because I am not telling your mother what you are doing and stuff. And so she was real proud of me that I went to Fort Bragg, and that, you know, I was supposed to go to Vietnam, and that didn't happen. So when I came home for 30 days and then got ready to be shipped out, they changed my orders, and I got to be on the general staff, and I got to be in G2. And so my dad was real proud of me, because, and it was kind of ironic, because when I was up there at Fort Bragg, it was like they had talked to my father, because they knew who my father was. Even though I had never even told stories about my father, they already knew who he was. So I didn't know if his influence is the reason why I didn't go to Vietnam, but I was kind of upset and heartbroken, because all the guys that I trained with and that we was going to go to Vietnam with and everything, that they ended up going, but I was left behind. And I thought, well, that wasn't fair. But I just went ahead and did my duty, just like Dad said. You know, he goes, you just have to take it as it goes, son. You know, you can't, you know, that's the way the Army is. And now his grandson, my son, his name is Michael Keith Coon. He's a staff sergeant, and he's been in almost 10 years in the United States Army. So My dad was a .30 caliber water-cooled machine gunner, and I was an airborne paratrooper, and my son is a .50 caliber machine gunner.
Oh, a legacy of service,
Mhm.
you know, and that's something that the Creek Nation as a whole, all of our citizens are so thankful for the Coon family and that service and that sacrifice. But it's so funny to me that Phillip, being a military guy, facing one of the, you know, most harsh conditions you can think of, being a prisoner of war, yet he still knew the major threat was telling Helen Coon that you wanted to go in the military. I love it. I love it. I love Phillip. We're going to miss him. We got so many great memories, though, to look back on. And, Mike, I just want to thank you for, you know, I know it's been a difficult week, but for you to stop in here with us and talk with Native News Today, who, you know, Native News Today, Phillip Coon, we've done a lot of things together, you as well, and honoring him. So it seems right that you would stop in here and just talk with us for a few moments. But I know it's been a tough week, but I thank you for stopping in, Mike, and we can't wait to see you. Today you'll be in the parade, actually, and we'll be honoring Phillip there. So it's going to be a great time out at the festival, and keeping his memory alive is something that we're going to take very seriously here at the show.
From the family, I'd like to thank for all the prayers and all the thoughts in our time of need. So
absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We believe if you teach a man to fish, you can feed him for a lifetime. We believe that transitioning convicted citizens back into our communities enhances public safety. We believe that every citizen, even ex-prisoners, are important and are capable of change. We believe in reclaiming our citizens and investing them back into a culture that embraces healing and restoration.
We believe
in reintegration.
Looking for your next 18-hole adventure? Then take a look at Fountainhead Creek Golf Club. Nestled in the beautiful confines of Lake Eufaula State Park, large sloping greens and well-placed bunkers characterize the Muskogee Creek Nation's Floyd Farley designed course and offers a fine test of skill for any golfer. Stay up on all the latest gear and equipment with a visit to our pro shop. Have lunch at the turn at the Clubhouse Grill. We're waiting to accommodate you at Fountainhead Creek. So give us a call at 918-689-3209 or visit fountainheadgolf.com to book your next round. Fountainhead Creek Golf Club, close to home, far from ordinary.
We are thinkers and readers.
We are dreamers.
We are doers and sharers.
To honor all things that make our Muskogee Creek Nation strong, we present you with the opportunity to expand your literature and the literature of our children.
Log on to MyOn to read books in English and Muskogee. We are Muskogee Nation, and we are readers.
And welcome back to Native News Today. And as I said before the break there, certainly want to thank Mike Coon. I know it's been a tough week for Mike and for the entire Coon family and really for the entire Muskogee Creek Nation. Our very own Principal Chief, George Tiger, very close with Phillip. In fact, the Muskogee Creek Nation Principal Chief and his wife, the First Lady, Frances Tiger, started a scholarship in the name of Phillip Coon back when the Higher Ed Scholarship Foundation, came into play. So they had him in such reverence, along with the rest of the Muskogee Creek Nation. Just a wonderful, wonderful man. And I knew, found out about his passing late Monday evening. And knew that the next day, we were going to have to be putting some things together. And I was just, for one, I was sad, but two, I was excited to be able to look back on some of the good times, the memories, the photos of this great, great man. And it was such a pleasure for me to be able to put together this memorial for Phillip Coon.
Like the one could come back. That's the one bothered me. A lot of them trying to get away from getting off that front line. They didn't go 100 yards. Japanese waiting up on treetops. So they was moving around and he took his little radio and television back home. Time we got up to that water, where the fighting was for sure. They had all your killed those Americans that sneaked off.
the tribal Christians that brought us through. They said we got on our knees that day, that fateful day that they took y'all. And it took them 3-4 days to do that. But we just ran out of food, ammunition, and men. But we didn't run out of prayer. Thank the Lord for that.
All right, and once again, the Muskogee Creek Nation in mourning, but all of us here that knew Phillip, glad that he's now reunited with his lovely wife, Helen. We know that he looked forward to that. While the rest of the world, I guess you could say, and really here in the USA, it seems like, is getting crazy about football, that would be soccer for all of us around here that aren't big fans of the game, whatever, but the World Cup going on. There's still some people in the state of Oklahoma, though, excited about American football. And with that being said, big time camp out at Wetumpka for our native youth, and that was hosted by one of the greatest wishbone quarterbacks in the history of the game. Mr. Jamel Holloway played in the late 80s there for the Oklahoma Sooners, won a national championship against Penn State in the Orange Bowl. Now, through the help of himself, Tony Fish, and the Wetumpka Indian community, bringing his Spirit of Oklahoma football camp to Wetumpka High School.
Today's event is of course sponsored by the Muskogee Creek Nation. It was initiated by the Wetumpka Indian community because we identified a need in our community to have some type of events for our kids. We need to, of course, we're big on athletics, and kids are really big into athletics. We thought nothing greater than to bring Jamel Holloway down for the football camp. In rural areas such as this, you know, it's not easily accessible to get to Oklahoma City or get to Tulsa to these football camps, and a lot of times it takes, you know, a big commitment as far as getting everybody together, the gas money and the camp fees and everything like that. When we brought this camp here to Wetumpka, not only is it locally here in the rural area, but it's free because it was sponsored by the Muskogee Creek Nation. Not only are we going to be talking about the skill sets that it comes with football and sports in general as an athlete, but we're going to be talking about education, how important education is in your life and in your career, because, you know, as we know, you cannot play sports if you don't have the education behind you to support that. You have to make, you know, good grades. You know, with the state testing that they've recently passed and kind of wavered on a little bit, you know, you got to be able to read coming out of the 3rd grade, so we thought it was important, you know, to also hammer the academic part of it home, because it's, you know, it's just as important or even more.
First of all, I want to thank the Creek Nation for giving me this opportunity to work with their youth. It's a great pleasure to be here for the simple fact this will be our 4th year doing this. The camp is stable, it's steady, and it's growing more and more each time. Tony Fish has given me the opportunity to come over here. Him and Lenora has given me a great opportunity. The community welcomed us, and it's a good thing. You know, everybody can't afford to go to OU or OSU or Tulsa's camp, so I decided that I wanted to try to bring the coaches down to the rural parts of Oklahoma. You know, that's the main emphasis, to stay with small schools, not just 8-man, but small little bitty schools around Oklahoma, to get those players some exposure and just get them out there, get their names out there. And I'm a true believer if they come to the camp each and every year, they're gonna learn something new, they're gonna take something back to their respectable areas, and you know, and just keep coming back, learning more and more each time will be a success to me, because I know one day one of these kids will grow up and they'll get a scholarship to go wherever, not necessarily OU or in the state of Oklahoma, but just to get an opportunity to go play sports somewhere, and then they can come back and tell their story to another little kid that say, you know what, I was at this same camp and I kept coming back year after year, and this is what it got me. Besides me working hard personally on their academics first and then sports second, but it's just try to make it a platform for them to be successful, for them to get ahead in life.
Our thanks again to Tony Fish, Wetumpka Indian Community, Wetumpka High School, Jamel Holloway, all the great people working his camp that had us out for that wonderful event. Great event there, and a lot of the youngsters really pumped up about that. Moving right along, as I said a little bit earlier on in the program, Principal Chief George Tiger, First Lady Frances Tiger naming a scholarship on their behalf in honor of Phillip Coon. You know, the Scholarship Foundation is really full steam ahead right now. They've got the director in place now for some time, and now their next big event has been the kickoff for the Workplace Giving Program. What's neat about this is it's really an exercising of sovereignty for the Muskogee Creek Nation. Our employees can have a small or large, but very easy, no matter what you do, payroll deduction out of their check that's tax deductible. It's a very great program, and they decided to have a nice event with a little bit of music, some food, gathering for the kickoff of the Workplace Giving Program.
Great program. We got a great director over it and staff, and they're doing a wonderful job setting the program up, building the foundation, and I think that's the important thing. And once people start participating, I think it will really be successful. I think other tribes look up to the Muskogee Creek Nation in their leadership qualities, and other tribes will be following suit and doing the same things. And because they see that it strengthens their tribes, their governments.
We're just at the tip of the iceberg, really. And we have several programs going. Again, the employee giving program is just one of those. And also, we have a direct mailing campaign that we've already started. And we're looking at over probably 56,000 homes and citizens that we can solicit and work with. And those are the major two programs that we have. In the future, we're looking at a golf tournament, a benefit golf tournament that we can, again, work with Fountainhead Creek Golf Course to raise funding and solicit funding for our scholarships and the other two components as well. And also, we're looking at a telethon in the future, and something that I don't believe a tribe here in Oklahoma has tried to do. But yeah, we want to take the initiative and be progressive about what we're doing, and you know, we have to keep busy in order to raise funds for, again, our three components. So we have to be innovative, creative, and so again, those are some of the things in the future that we're looking at.
Giving to the Scholarship Foundation program is a really simple, easy process with one form. Once the employee decides to make that decision towards a scholarship, they can do so. They have the opportunity to amend or change their deduction anytime. Once we receive that, we process it, and the employee gets a receipt in which they can use their deduction for tax time for deduction purposes as applicable by the law. Employee contribution forms are available online or come by the office. You just fill out the one paper, submit it to our office to begin the payroll deduction initiation. From there, process it, turn it into finance, and a bi-weekly payroll deduction comes out of the employee's check.
Okay, that'll wrap us up for this week's episode of Native News Today. We certainly hope that you enjoyed looking back on the life, the incredible life, what a life is all you can say, of Phillip Coon, our World War II hero, our Bataan Death March survivor. The Muskogee Creek Nation will feel the pain of his loss for quite some time, but oh, what a life he lived, and we were so glad to be able to share in it. All the great people out making it happen in our rural areas here at the Muskogee Creek Nation with the football camp. I want to thank them for taking their big-time skills to our small areas so the kids can be exposed to it there. Also want to thank the great people at the Scholarship Foundation doing worthwhile work here at the Muskogee Creek Nation, and the kickoff event, which was a great success for them. Very glad about that. And hey, there is still time. It's festival time right now in Okmulgee. As I speak, you know, I'm about to have to get out there myself, but a lot of people in town and a lot of things going on. If you're not out there yet, you can go out there right now. There's going to be fast pitch softball going on, horseshoes, food vendors, and tonight you're going to have Buddy Guy. What a blues guitarist, a great player. The Ohio Players, Fire. And let's see, what else do we? I Want to Be Free. Those guys do a great job. And also Martha Redbone, and the headlining act will be the Jacksons. Won't have Michael, but it'll be the Jacksons. So everybody come on out. A great event. Can't wait to see you out there. And if you can't catch us on CW, always catch Native News Today on YouTube. Catch us on Facebook. At Native News Guys is our Twitter handle. So we've got you covered on a variety of fronts out there. Everybody, for all the people here that make it happen, have a great week, and we'll see you next time.